Yes, sir. Recording is start.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, great good morning, Asia Pacific, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and neighboring countries. Very early morning in Middle East, very early morning in Europe and Africa. Good afternoon, Australia. And there's a midnight now in US and Canada. They are in sleeping right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I am not on a live show on this hashtag Women Power, a global moment. It's a recording which will be available to you after next half an hour. It's because today I have with me someone who is very admired and a class of a personality, the guest of honor, Madam Dr. Kalpana Gopalan. Ma'am, welcome to this show, Women Power, a global moment.
Thank you, Dr. Bakshi, for having me here. It's a pleasure and privilege to be able to talk to you.
Thank you, ma'am. It has been very tough for me to get her time to be on this show normally at 5:30 IST because she is back to back, busy, busy, and busy. And even to get the dates was too tough. I must thank Dr. Gopalan for being here. Let me, ladies and gentlemen, have the honor of, introducing such a great personality and who is making waves in India and especially south of India and globally when you will know about this personality. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, an Indian Administrative Officer, IAS for global citizens, IAS, Indian Administrative Officer of 1987 batch. And she is someone who has a complete public policy personality profession in terms of her persona, a true versatility person. She wears many hats: a policymaker, scholar, an author, volunteer, and of course, mother the women power. She secured 19th rank in the All India Combined Civil Services Examination 1987. It's very tough. Not many people are able to do it, and she is 19th rank. My folded hand to her. Her 33 years of experience, she looks younger, brighter, beautiful, and 33 years work experience in the Indian Administrative Services, from land administration to urban management to public distribution system to sports, rural development, youth training, building the future of Bharat Desh, and of course, the education. She is presently the additional chief secretary, Department of Youth Development, youngest town of the world, and sports, government of Karnataka. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan has received Mother Teresa Women Empowerment Award. Wow. For outstanding contribution to excellence in leadership. The International Human Rights Award under the Women of Courage category 2019, that's last year before COVID. The Sexy Brilliant COVID Award, Leadership Award, wow. And the Social Activist Pratibha Saman. Pratibha Saman for people who come from different backgrounds is Respectable Personality 2020. Dr. Gopalan was recognized as great warrior of humanity, and we need it badly today during COVID, by the International Human Rights Advisory Council for her outstanding performance, commitment, contribution, and dedication towards humanitarian services and best practices during COVID-19 prevention. That's 2020. I mean, Dr. Gopalan has been appreciated by UNICEF and the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Services for support in COVID during 2020. She is a LinkedIn Wonder Woman. Wow, LinkedIn Wonder Woman and Inspirational Leader 2020. Dr. Gopalan was felicitated and awarded citations, commendations, appreciations by Bangalore University, NITTE University, Yanipoya University, Mysore University, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Visvesvaraya University of Technology, We Lead Empowering Women Growth, Gulbarga University, Jain University, Ramaya Institute of Technology, Acharya Institutions, Melkote Academy of Sanskrit, so on and so on, including Honorary Council and Republic of Maldives 2015 and Institution of Engineers of India 2013. She has been part of the NLM UNESCO 2000 Award for Karnataka with her work of literacy and Karnataka Ratna Award. Why we call it Bharat Ratna Award. It's Karnataka Ratna Award 2013. Dr. Gopalan is advisor, Bangalore City Corporation, honorary consultant, administrative training institute, Mysore, member of advisory committee, public servant advisory, Grant Thornton LLP, member advisory board, Government Blockchain Association, a hybrid leader with unique mix of public service and business school and academia credentials. Dr. Kalpana combines a unique mix of creating work, collaborative across public, private, and non-profit sectors. She honed her skills, especially research skills, with doctorate and masters in public policy from IIM, in Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. She was rated among the top 2% of the doctoral candidates in the past decade for a research on infrastructure and public-private sector. A gold medalist, university topper in her undergraduate and master's. She was visiting fellow at McGill and Concordia University in Canada, EU fellow at the University of Salerno in Italy, Chiving Gurukul Scholar of Institute of Development Studies, UK, Maxwell Public Policy Scholar in Syracuse University, USA. She trained in evidence for policy design in Center for International Development, Harvard University, USA 2014. We had yesterday the professor of Harvard University on Dean of Leadership. E-governance strategy in the London School of Economics, UK 2017. Oh my God, so on and so on. She has twice been selected as YSSP Scholar by University of Free State, South Africa, and International Institute of Applied System Analysis. She presents papers in national, international fora, has published books, 3 books, many journals. She is taught after a speaker, has delivered 250 talks, different aspects of public policy to national and global audiences. Dr. Kalpana pursues her academic interests as Senior Research Fellow in National Institute of Urban Affairs, New Delhi, visiting faculty fellow in Institute of Social and Economic Change, Acharya Bangalore B School, Advisory Board, AIM School of Business Bangalore, so on and so on. I don't know. She's a blogger, speaker, served as Secretary Toastmasters International, IIMB Orators. She has been active social media presence in LinkedIn, YouTube, academia.eu, and ssrn.com. Widely traveled in North America, Europe, Asia. Dr. Kalpana is comfortable living, working in multicultural, multidimensional, and multinational cultures. She relaxes to music and in the company of her lovely husband and 2 wonderful children. Oh my God, what a man, what a background. This is going to be an amazing day for me, ma'am. I would like to salute you for what you are, ma'am. And today it's one of the brightest and biggest day for me in my life that I get someone of this stature with me. Frankly speaking, my mentor is Dr. Kiran Bedi, who is very closely associated with me last 25 years. And today, when I look at you, I fold my hand and bow my head.
Dr. Bakshi, thank you for that very detailed introduction, and I must confess it was rather embarrassing. On another note, Dr. Kiran Bedi and myself, we shared the dais in the 2019 Women's Congress.
Wow.
And we shared our own experiences with so many other women who were gathered there. So that's a very pleasant memory for me.
Fantastic. Dr. Kiran.
That was in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore.
Oh, wow.
She had visited, yes.
Dr. Kiran Bedi and myself, every day at 7:30, we have a discussion, few minutes, every day, without fail. She is such a fascinating person. She has added a lot of value to my life, my family life, my organization life. And whatever I am today, a lot of credit goes to Kiran ma'am. Namaste, Kiran ma'am. We are remembering you, another wonderful human being here and a professional. Dr. Gopalan, normally I am at 5:30 on a show on Zoom. Then I get people on YouTube. I get people on Facebook. I get people on Global Talent Television. And there are a lot of people join from different parts of the world. And, you know, I have my questions, then they raise their questions. But due to your so much of work which you do, and finally I could get you today. So are you ready, ma'am, with my little questions for you?
Absolutely.
Dr. Gopalan, now I know you and your present strata, status, women of elegance, women of abundance, women of, persona of someone, a world-class woman. I want to look at your childhood, ma'am. What were those major issues as a child, as a girl child, which you conquered and moved forward? I am very keen to know because normally in our Indian context, we are struggling for women power. And why I'm doing the show, we will come to that in a few moments when we start questioning. And you have excelled, irrespective of being a woman child. And who were your mentors? How was your mom and dad? How did they literally put in your mind the sense of getting into this kind of excellence, what you are today? Take your time to respond. We are not in a hurry. We are not live. I would like to have more and more details from you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, beginning at the beginning, I had a normal childhood, but it was also unusual in certain respects. One very unusual aspect was that I am the daughter of the original Two States marriage. You must have heard of the film Two States.
Yeah.
I am the daughter of the original Two States marriage. My father is a Tamil and my mother is a Gujarati.
Oh, wow.
So my childhood alternated between school days in Chennai, Madras as it was called at that time, and holidays in Ahmedabad. So this was one very unusual aspect. And I myself, when I grew up, I married a Kannadiga. So, it's a kind of, we have the whole of Bharat within the family. So that is one unusual aspect. The other unusual aspect was that I grew up with the responsibility of high expectations. In my family, academic excellence was taken for granted. And so I was a nerd much before the word was ever invented. And I wouldn't say it was tough in the sense of obstacles, right? But it was that failure was frowned upon. And anything less than the best, and this is especially true of my parents, that anything less than the best, any kind of imperfection was unacceptable. I had to cultivate in myself the realization that failures are a part of life, mistakes do happen. So I had to, in fact, train myself to accept that. And I have also made a conscious effort to bring up my children to accept both accomplishment and disappointment with equanimity. So that is something which I have made part of my own parenting because of that experience. So I think other than these two aspects, one of, being the child of a bilingual marriage, and another that I had this responsibility of expectations, meeting expectations. I think other than this, it was a normal childhood, quite a happy one with a lot of laughter and play and studies, everything.
Yeah, so I love what you said, that anything less than the best was what the mantra you got during the childhood. And above all, you said imperfections were not accepted. But at the same time, mistakes do happen, and learning from mistakes. And then you say that you are giving the same mantras to your own children to take it forward. Hey guys, when you work, when you perform, there will be mistakes, but never repeat the same mistake again. Learn from it and move forward. What a powerful statement, Dr. Gopalan. Dr. Gopalan, ma'am, how did you plan what you are today? A great contribution to nation building, global building, public service. Was this something which was planned, or it came up during the process of moving forward? Because today, when you are impacting the public and public is respecting you and saluting you for what you are, so audience would actually be very keen to know that was it a planned journey and or it just happened, because it will give a lot of tips to my audience around the world to be what you are today. You are a role model.
Well, thinking back, I would say it's a life where both choice and chance played an equal role. Wow. So when you speak of planning, yeah, there was some planning, but there was also serendipity, and maybe the right mix perhaps. But then that's just a matter of good fortune. Let me speak about the chance bit of it first. Now, entering the IAS was not a burning ambition. I was a very good student, and I naturally drifted into a PhD program. I joined IIT Madras. I think that was in the year 1985, 86. They used to have at that time, just like they have the IIT JEE, there used to be the CERA, Common Examination for Research Admission. And that was for the PhD program for research scholars. I topped that. I was the All India topper with 99 something percentile.
Wow.
And I got into IIT Madras. But then I found that while I got a great deal of support from Dr. Ambirajan, the late Dr. Ambirajan, who was then the HOD, who in fact selected me. His own father was a great doyen of English literature, and therefore he had a great love of humanities. And Dr. Ambirajan welcomed me into the program. And I would say it was very brave of him to do so, that to invite a humanities and social sciences scholar into a pure technological institute. And it was also perhaps very brave or very naive of me to enter. But once I entered, I found that my social science interests and their technological expertise was not a great fit. And so for me, the civil service exam was a fallback option. I prepared with my usual diligence while I was still a student in IIMB, a research scholar in IIT Madras. And then I cleared the civil services in my first try. And I stood fairly high in the merit list, as you have mentioned. I was 19th in the All India merit list. So that is where I think it was, chance played a role, in the sense that my first choice was in fact academics, and वो तो अधूरा रह गया, if you understand, it remained incomplete. And many years later, I entered the PhD program in IIM Bangalore and finally completed my PhD mid-career. So, you know, what had started as a scholarly journey in the year 1985 in IIT Madras finally came to an end in 2018 when IIM Bangalore awarded me a PhD degree. So that was the, you know, chance part of it. So the big decision of career, that actually chance played a great role. There's also the aspect where choices played a role. And that I would say, you know, the decision for higher education is today, by today's standards, a very minor decision in life. You know, it is mostly determined by your professional education option which you take. But for me, it was a very different thing. As I said, you know, I was very engrossed in studies, and this must have been the year 1983 when I was doing my BA final exams. I was studying for my BA finals, and you know, my parents had always, you know, encouraged education. So I had grown up with this belief that I would do a master's. And at that time, one of my officious uncles, you know, they're all around, he decided it was time for me to get married. Now, on one side, you have a family tradition of, you know, academic excellence, but there was also this family tradition of deference to elders. And so my parents, who had always pushed me to study hard and study more, suddenly, you know, capitulated and said, yeah, we'll get her married. And this was a shock to me, you see, because they would not speak against the word of an elder. And this was the eldest uncle in the family. But I was too naive, and it was a shock to me. And I remember still that I used to be studying for the final exams, and I used to dart out of my room and tell my parents, I want to do my MA, I have to do my MA, and then dart back again to my studies. And it is funny now, but at that time it was, you know, so shocking for me. And this is, you know, I was generally an obedient child. So this was one of the rare confrontations with my parents. Fortunately, I prevailed, and the marriage plan was put aside. Of course, I got married later, but at that time, I went on to do my master's, and then another master's, and then a third master's, and then a PhD. So that higher education journey was a matter of choice. So it both choice and chance really play a role. And, you know, it is both our own sense of self as well as, you know, the fortuitous circumstances which will both play a role in determining which way we go. So the big career choice was chance, but the higher education choice was a choice. Proper one.
Wow. You were talked about choice and chance. And in today's environment, when we see our future children, and you know, at that point of time, 1983, 85, it was different. I would add two more C's to your life there. I would say you have been a woman of confidence and women of courage. Because at that point, to defer the marriage and getting into masters would have been much difficult. So chance, choice, courage,
Okay.
and the confidence. I would like to give you a big round of applause for what you are, ma'am, today. Fascinating.
Thank you very much. But I myself would not have at that time described it as courage or confidence. It was just
Absolutely.
what I had to do. And I couldn't see any other, you know, vista opening before me. That this was not what I had imagined for my future.
True.
So it was, I wouldn't have consciously said at that time that I was being courageous. But perhaps you are right.
Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely.
But it was definitely not run of the mill, because all my classmates were getting married at that time. And so I would also appreciate my parents that finally, you know, they could see, you know, my point of view, because all around us, we could see that, you know, girls of my age. My classmates even were getting, in fact, we were attending a series. I was attending a series of weddings at that time, all my classmates, but I was studying.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are going to be watching it, see the difference. See the difference of the personalities, how you can be different, how your parents can immediately support you in this type of decision making and make you more courageous, make you more confident to what you should be. Dr. Gopalan, now you are a combination, rather a unique mix of academia, practical, honed research skills, doctorates, masters, public policies, top 2% of the doctoral candidates, gold medalists, so many universities, recognition, and so on and so on. And when I look at you and I see you as someone who has consistently carried on this journey of excellence. I always believe if you consistently work on a game plan, the results will be of unexpected nature. That is what I believe in. So when you see your journey of excellence, I would like to know from you, and especially the audience would be very keen to know from you, that how did you, irrespective of what we have talked, how did you manage yourself to keep enhancing your level of excellence continuously?
Well, about first 15 years or so after entering the IAS, I spent it on the job. And it's a very time-consuming job, as you have described in the beginning. And most of this 15 years were spent on the field. So we have secretarial postings and we have field postings. So most of my time was spent on the field. To describe it lightheartedly, career in the IAS leaves you with many questions.
Yeah.
Should I open the file? Should I close the file? Or should I sign the file?
Mhm.
So, this is just a joke. But what happens is that the IAS gives you a wealth of experience, very multifarious, varied, multi-sectoral. You described the departments. In fact, only a few were mentioned. I worked in about 15 departments or so. Every day is different. The people you meet are different. But I had to make sense of that.
Wow.
And I had to figure it out, to put it in a simple way. And personally, I feel that, both theoretical and practical knowledge are important. That, one is incomplete without the other. We generally feel that, the doers, the practitioners feel that academic knowledge is unnecessary, or merely theoretical, something which is confined in books. It's not realistic. And when you look at the other side, because I have interacted with so many academics also, and they feel that, practitioners do merely firefighting without a holistic conception. But my own feeling, having seen both worlds, is that what they call practical knowledge, what you gain from experiential wisdom, and the theoretical wisdom, both are important. And I think somewhere at the back of my mind, this led me to the portals of IIM Bangalore, first as a master's student, and then as a PhD scholar. And I would say this, our country as a whole, and perhaps this is because we are still an economy, developing economy, we are very job oriented. So once we have gotten into a job, we feel that this is the be all and end all of life. But only much later we realize, and I see this of many professionals, that personal growth and self-actualization and even learning are desirable goals in life. And so I personally never had that sense of satiation, that, okay, I've learned everything. So that is the reason, perhaps, to answer that part of your question, that why I am a continuous learner, that what took me towards academics mid-career and what has kept me in academics throughout. Then there is, I would just take a couple of minutes, because what is more important for me is that I have a kind of concurrent career now as a speaker and a mentor and a volunteer. And that comes mainly from a desire to share. I feel that I have been blessed with abundant learning and experience and multiple opportunities. What you spoke of, have come to me in a way, and so I feel that it is incumbent upon me to share this. And I do have a role as a researcher. In fact, that is what I personally really enjoy. Researching, going deep into that. That is the scholar in me. But I find it is easier to make a connect. Both the reach and the spread is larger when I speak. So, and I do have a gift. I've realized that I can explain complex ideas in a very simple and understandable way. And to my pleasant surprise, as I began speaking, I realized that when I do speak, people like to listen. I am a private person, and in the beginning, and this concurrent career as a speaker began now maybe about a decade or a little more than a decade ago, as I was doing my PhD. And in the beginning, I found it easier to discuss things in the abstract, like ideas or concepts. Something is external to you. Then gradually, I found it more comfortable to move on to my personal experiences. And today, I'm very comfortable speaking about myself, my thoughts, my feelings. So even there, though the intention was to share, and therefore it was externally motivated, I still feel that there's been an internal evolution as well. So it has helped me as much as I began this, perhaps in an attempt to help others with what learnings and what experiences I have. But in fact, I have also benefited equally. And I've met wonderful people along the way, students, youth, teachers, great people, really.
Wow.
I'm sorry for the very long answer to that question.
But that's fantastic, because actually you are talking about what you love and what makes you to be feeling comfortable. You are loving what you are doing. And we always say, when you love what you do, it becomes easy and becomes way of life. And that too, especially when you're talking about at that point of time, you try to figure it out and you are doing experiential wisdom sharing. And when you do experiential wisdom sharing, you enjoy yourself. You are learning from each and every interaction, and you are giving to the world the wisdom of knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge becomes potential power when you start using it, and knowledge becomes kinetic power when you start sharing it. Especially in your case, it's a kinetic power because you're sharing it and you're picking more knowledge and you become more and more comfortable. Beautiful. I don't know, I have a lot of respect for IAS, IFS personalities. And I had in this show a couple of people who came, like Suchitra Durai. She is my ambassador in Thailand, Indian ambassador. I had recently, CEO of Noida doing an extraordinary job. When I look at Indian administrative services personalities, I don't know. I keep telling to my family members, I see them very different than the normal human being because they have that extraordinary urge. Maybe this studies of Indian administrative services, Indian foreign services, make them to be like that. And you have further excelled into this. I have the greatest respect for you, ma'am. I don't know. I have never met you personally. I would like one day to fly down to Bangalore city, Bangalore, lovely city, to meet up with you and know you face to face.
Looking forward, you're most welcome.
And Dr. Gopal, and my next question is, Now, when we look at your journey, there will still be some, negativity, some challenges, especially, I mean, when a woman is taking the charge of a bigger post, bigger position in the government. And I know that I have heard about it, I have done some research, that you are a person of a lot of guts, and you are at the same time grounded completely, because I just heard your background and I have known about it. But people keep on guessing what next from Dr. Gopalan. And people say we keep on guessing because she can come up with something which is unknown, unheard. And what is your motivational fit to be going, growing, and glowing in this present role or the new role or the previous roles? What is that motivational fit?
Well, let me be honest that as a bureaucrat, as a career woman, I have faced my share of obstacles. And I have had to work extra hard with very little recognition at times. It has also been not so much now that my children have grown up, but in the early days when we were still, a young family, I had to juggle the demands of both work and family. But I think there are some aspects of life or personality, maybe you call it motivation, and that keeps me going. And one is that I see myself as a change agent with an ability to, find creative solutions to complex problems and nurture my own talents and build relationships. One example, let me give you that as an IAS officer, you do wield a great deal of power. And sometime in the year 2013, I was handicrafts. It's the Karnataka State Handicrafts Development Corporation. And I had visited Bidar, and my officers took me to a small unit which made sandalwood products. And I received a wonderful welcome there from the artisan entrepreneur. And I found about 150 destitute women were being given employment by that entrepreneur. And we, normally when we go anywhere, we are well received. As you pointed out, the IAS commands a great deal of prestige. But this was, much more. It seemed to be from the heart. And, after the first pleasantries, the artisan entrepreneur asked me that, do you remember me? And I said, no, I don't remember you. Then he said, we have not met, but I know you. And what it transpired was that he narrated the story. I did not know. Many years ago, in sometime in the mid-90s, I was in the Rural Development Department as a director. It was then called Director Special Economic Programs. And I had sanctioned, an application had come to me from this artisan to set up a unit for making sandalwood products. And we used to give what is called seed money of some small amount, 10,000 or 15,000 rupees, which is a very small amount. But for him, it was a big amount. And he had traveled from Bidar to meet me, to request me to sanction that. But I was very quick, gently. Even today, I never keep, files pending. Everything will be, that day's work will be finished that day. So by the time he reached, in the normal course of events, I had cleared his file and the sanction order had been signed and issued. So when he came to my office, I was out at the time. My PA gave him the order and said, Madam has already cleared your case. You take it and go. And he took the order. And 17 or 18 years later, he meets me and says, it is because of you that this has come up. Not just I have developed, but these women, I have been able to give them employment because of that seed money which you gave me 18 years ago. He had remembered my name and probably maybe caught a glimpse of me, I don't know, but we had never met. But that was one of those days when I thank God for making me an IAS officer. Once in a while, most of the time maybe we crib about our job, all of us do. But that is one thing that the people whom the kind of love, acceptance, which you get from the people, the kind that to stay in their memory for maybe their whole life, that is a great motivator. That is one thing. That is from that is what I get from my job there. So that is the motivation. The other thing is that I think my uh, role or work as an academic, that also has kept me grounded, because see what happens is when you go as an IAS officer and you meet anyone, they generally treat you with respect. So you begin to think that you deserve it, even though you may not have done anything to deserve that. But as a student, as a research scholar, I found that I met people of outstanding merit, but who are so humble and grounded. My PhD guide, Dr. Shamal Roy, is the most wonderful human being I have ever come across, and is so humble, so unassuming. So also my supervisor from Concordia University in Canada, Dr. Lawrence Wirza, brilliant academic, brilliant financial mind, but so grounded and so much steeped in reality, so humble. So that I think has, that alternate role has made me realize that this sense of this respect which you get from society is not that something which I really deserve. It doesn't make me automatically superior. I have to do something to be able to deserve it. I think that is really that, you do have your bad hair days. And in my case, both sadly, literally too. Today is not one of them. But both literally and metaphorically, you have bad hair days. But there's a larger impetus. And that comes from those whom you associate with. That I think is really propels that inner engine. So again, long answer.
Hey, Dr. Gopal.
I think you, as an interviewer, it is your talent to be able to evoke this kind of, very detailed and honest responses.
Beautiful, the way you could explain, because that's what is your motivating factor. And it happens to people, when I am at a Heathrow airport or at a Singapore airport, there will be somebody coming to me, hey, are you the DK Bakshi?
Yeah.
Remember me? I said, no, I don't remember. And I was an MHROD when you came in 2003, and you said, where there is a will, there's a dill, where there's a dill, there's a will, and you said, if you always do what you have always done, you will always get what you have always got. And he was among 500 people, and he said, today I'm the vice president of this company. Wow. And these are the things which motivate us. And you rightly said, when people come to you that this is what you did, you may not even remember that. That keeps your motivation on. Wow.
I have to share this, because this being recognized at the airport, that's a great kick, actually. Yeah. But let me give you one story. And this is Meera Sharan. She, like you, is a LinkedIn connection.
Yeah.
And she wrote to me maybe about 6 to 7 months back that I was a speaker sometime in possibly early 2019. I had visited Kochi and to speak in Rajgiri University about entrepreneurship. And she was a student in the audience at that time. And recently she wrote to me saying that my speech motivated her to set up her own startup called Wordsmith.
Wow.
And it was brilliant. You don't know the difference that you are making, but merely being in the audience, listening to that motivated her. And now she is a budding woman entrepreneur. And it was a great moment for me. And in fact, I wrote about her as well. So this gives you the kick, really, when people remember you.
That is what keeps you on. That's your motivational fit, Dr. Gopal.
Sorry, I just elongated the reply, but
this is more motivating than anything else, Dr. Gopalan. When now we are in COVID, before COVID, BC, DC, and AC. DC is where we are right now in. And AC is going to be soon. I wish we get AC soon. But BC is a history. DC is where we are here right now into the digital this thing. And during DC, when I saw your profile, your background, you have done a lot of work, huge work during DC also. And there is an important thing which I would like you to convey to people, especially women of all backgrounds, be it housewives, be it corporate managers, be it supervisory ladies, because there's a work from home, there are children, there are parents, there are parent-in-law, there are partners, how and what they need to cope up with this unprecedented situation, a pandemic. Do you have some one or two examples to share with these people? And you've done it yourself. You've got awards also. You're being recognized also. And you're doing so much. You also have a family. Of course, now you may have grown-up children, but still you have a commitment home. But these women are suffering today. What is your messages to them?
First of all, I think we need to see COVID in perspective. When you speak about BC and AD, now there's an implicit hyperbole that you are equating COVID to the birth of Christ, and I don't agree. COVID is not the first crisis which humanity has had to face, and it will not be the last. It is present, and therefore it appears big in our eyes. So we have to take it in our stride. For me, the primary lesson that COVID has taught is a sense of collective social responsibility. All of us, recognize a personal social responsibility. I can, teach a child and I fulfill my personal social responsibility, or I volunteer in an organization, I fulfill my personal social responsibility. We also recognize the responsibility of corporates as CSR and of governments. But collective social responsibility, that if I am careful and if I follow the proper protocols, I protect not just myself, but you and my family and the rest of the community. So I have a responsibility which is larger than me and the immediate recipient of my work or service. I have a responsibility towards the community. And I think this is what I have tried to disseminate. And we got together, some of us who felt similarly. I am the head of the National Social Service Scheme in Karnataka. And I teamed up with UNICEF and the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. And we held a series of online awareness programs for both medical and non-medical professionals. And, that was very, very well received because we gave very accurate information, medical information. And then we teamed up with Limans to address mental health issues arising from out of COVID. And since I also head the Department of Sports, for sports persons, we had an event called Namma Mane Nanna Suraksha, which means my home, my safety.
Wow.
And there we, many prominent sports persons like Sunil Joshi, Venkatesh Prasad, so many of them joined us online, and they shared both their, at that time it was lockdown, so they shared their lockdown experiences and how to keep fit even during the time of lockdown and COVID. And our NSS volunteers, they fanned over the state. They distributed food, they prepared masks, they distributed masks, they did contact tracing. And those of them who were medical professionals like nurses and doctors, the medical students, they were active in treating patients also. So there were many of us who were not afraid. So I would not say it is just me. And I did contract COVID along the way, and I shared that experience as well, just to tell people that this is nothing to fear. And my article is on LinkedIn and also on the website of the hospital which treated me. We made a video on my own experience. So we need to face this crisis with responsibility but without fear. So this is one aspect of it which applies to all of us. Now you are particularly asking about women in particular, and well, their responsibility is generally more because the whole family looks to the woman for its cue. And my children, as you say, are grown up. My son and daughter are both outside. Both are in Maharashtra, and Maharashtra was facing the worst. at the time. But at not one moment, at no point of time did either they or I suggest that they should return home. They stayed where they were, they continued to work. My son is a surgeon, so he was in the forefront of COVID prevention activities, and he in turn was, in fact, he was recognized with an award by an international human rights organization for the work done in COVID. The other side, my parents are aged, they are 90 plus, so I had to be doubly careful. And while my work kept me in my office, I did not have the luxury of working from home. But when I was infected, I used that home isolation time to learn some more. I even gave an interview during that period so that people understand what it is about. And then I went about my routine without anxiety. So on the one side, those awards and recognitions which you mentioned, those make me very happy, I must say, and I'm grateful for them. But they don't belong to me. They belong to everyone who I have connected with, everyone who has helped me along the way in the course of my life. So that is.
That's
Can
so.
can I say a little more? Because I spoke largely from the personal perspective, but I think there's one thing which we should realize in the macro. And sorry for once again for this elongated answer, but I think the primary change which COVID will make, the pandemic will make, is in the world of work. And this is something which we have to be prepared for. And since it's important for you to connect to your audience, the importance of technology and the emergence of work from home and the advent of the gig economy, these three will be major transformations, and in turn it will demand a personal transformation from us, that we need to embrace technology, understand technology, which many of us in our country do not yet do. And we need to become a continuous learner. Continuous learning is not just for the highly motivated, it becomes a necessity of life. And in place of competition and office politics, when you are working in a gig economy, you need to now practice collaboration and cooperation, because you need to be able to be a team worker, not a politiker, to be able to succeed in a post-COVID world. So I just wanted to know that macro perspective also to be there, because your question was largely micro in a personal sense, but it makes a very big difference in the future of work.
Yeah, I think you have touched a very significantly important point, that AC after COVID, I think there has to be a collaborative way of working
Yes.
together, and you need to respect each other's point of view and care and concern to be successful in life. And the gig economy, as well as the digital world, what we are in today, I mean, this pandemic has thrown us into an opportunity which we are learning every day.
Yes.
Zero at the technology. I'm a man into the shop floors, into the hotels, into the classrooms, and face to face. Unless I never knew how to do it. And I have done more than 210 webinars around 40 countries last 9 months, whereas I was zero on technology. And I am also a student of management and leadership, and now the student of technology. I think very important point you touched, ma'am. We need to be student of technology, which can be the biggest driver for our growth. Ma'am, I am coming to almost close now. Dr. Gopalan, uh, when I see yourself and when I see people in the world, power of resilience, courage of conviction, and that's what audience will be very keen to know. And I am running a program. I'm mad. I'm Dr. Pritam Singh, Padma Shri Dr. Pritam Singh. We lost him recently. He was another guru, and Kiran ma'am calls that DK Bakshi is mad. I created this women power, a global movement around the world, with a mad statement: 100,000 women on this platform by 2021 and 1 million by 2024, irrespective of caste, creed, nationality, religion, and color. I was told, "You are a mad guy. And recently I am covered in the LinkedIn cover page. I will send it to you, complete article on this, and you would love to see that. So I took this mad statement and we created 20 chapters in the world. There are 20 women who are working in different parts of the world, from United States to Canada, Durban, Lebanon, Afghanistan, Thailand, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Dubai, England, and Spain and Germany. And we created this movement, hashtag Women Power, a global movement, 100,000 women to be on this and 1 million. Ma'am, the audience and these women 20 chapter in charge will also go through this this program. What is women empowerment to you? What do you mean by women empowerment? You are yourself an ambassador of women and youth empowerment. What is
Well, I avoid the word empowerment. I don't like it very much, because there's an implication that it is something which is given by the more powerful to the less powerful, and that is actually the dictionary meaning also. I prefer the phrase capability building, and for me, capability signifies three things: competence, being the best at what you do. And this is regardless of whether you are a professional or a homemaker. We all remember our grandmothers and aunts who, possibly my own grandmother, maybe primary school educated, she was the world's best cook. And she was wonderful, and her knowledge of people and her wisdom is unparalleled. So regardless of what you are, competence, being the best at what you do, and courage. And you kept harping on that theme of courage. And for me, courage is not, janda utha ke ladna. That is, that Jhansi Ki Rani kind of courage. All of us don't have that opportunity. But the day-to-day courage, where, you don't give in to bullying or pressure. Where if someone needs a helping hand, you provide that. We had a recent instance when my maid's daughter was, kind of, within quotes, kidnapped by her own relatives. And she needed my help. And what help I could, I did extend, and the girl was rescued. So that ordinary day-to-day kind of courage, where when you see some injustice happening, some unfairness happening, you seek to right it. You may not fight, you may not do a protest movement, but you make that change in that person's life. So that is the kind of courage. So that is the second thing: competence, then courage, and thirdly, compassion.
Wow.
That you lend that helping hand to whoever needs it at that time, at that point of time. It can be done through a global movement like yours, or it can be just a helping hand to someone next to you. And let me give you an example. I keep saying that people I meet are my motivators, and we have this NSS volunteer who is a nursing student. And with COVID, all hospitals are overburdened. We put these volunteers also on the job. She worked for a week, and for nurses, it is especially taxing, even more than doctors, because doctors can remove their PPE kits when they are, when they take a break. But nurses may be called anytime. So they remain in their PPE kits all day long. She worked for a week in a COVID ward. And then the next week, she insisted that I will work more. I want to do more. I want to help these people. And we had to, in fact, sit with her and convince her that she has to take a break as per protocol, because it would, it would have taken a toll which she perhaps was not aware of. But medically and mentally, it would have taken a toll on her. So these three things, and for me, she is the example of compassion. So competence, courage, and compassion, because you were talking about C's. So this is, great that, these are things which for me mean empowerment. And it may not always be that, we make great movements, those of us who can do, but it is possible for each of us to make a change. And that is what I feel, for me, whether you call it empowerment or capability. That is what it means for me.
Yeah, I think you have put me into a thought, and a beautiful thought. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gopalan mentioned about, I don't like the word of empowerment, because when you say empowerment, that means you've got to give to somebody. And then giving it to somebody, there are many questions. But she mentions that it is going to be capacity building and 3 C's: competence, courage, and compassion. And I think when we see it, courage, competence, and compassion, I think pandemic has taught us a lot. I must thank you for this wonderful 3C. And you will see from today, it will go viral in the world that Dr. Gopalan says in my many lectures what I will do. Can I quote you about this?
Of course. Thank you. I'm grateful.
I had Dr. Bhandarkar, well known, she is a professor of organization development on my show, and she said 3 T's. She said trust, transparency, and togetherness. And this has gone viral many places. I keep quoting, and I will keep quoting you. Like I keep on quoting about Dr. Kiran Bedi, change is law, growth is optional, choose it wisely. 1,000 times I must have said in many parts of the world. I mean, face-to-face as well as just right now on the digital media. I am really happy and delighted rather that this 3C has come: compassion, courage, and competence, not empowerment. Last one, ma'am, this movement of ours, would you support us as a women power whenever we need you? I know you have no time, but maybe Neerja Wadhwa, who is the chapter in charge for Bangalore, might need you, your address, your 10 minutes, your 5 minutes when we get into finally face-to-face in Bangalore City, and you support us to enhance this women power in the south of India. Can I have your commitment, ma'am?
Absolutely. You have my commitment.
I will tell Neerja Wadhwa, who is the chapter in charge for Bangalore, Karnataka, to get in touch. And ma'am, I thought we'll do this talk for 30, 40 minutes. And where we are. It has gone so natural. It has gone so beautiful that we have even crossed 1 hour. And this is going to be fascinating. I am going to be sharing it with the world over. People are going to be talking about it. And I want to tell you another thing also. By April 21, I will have a digital book of all these interviews, synopsis, available around the world. I would like to thank you so much on behalf of Global Talent and on behalf of hashtag Women Power, a global moment, for your time. It has been tough, difficult, but then finally, I salute you as one of the greatest women power India has produced. And I respect your parents, give my regards, and I would like to touch their feet one day when I am in Karnataka to meet them and tell them that you got a wonderful masterpiece, women of elegance, women of women power to this world, who is spreading to millions of the world around the world. What knowledge is, and what resilience is, what courage is, and I don't know what to say, but lot of thanks. I am delighted, I am excited, I am thrilled with this today's interview. It has made me to learn a lot from you today. You have given some of the tips I kept on noting down, and when I will go through this YouTube again, it has added a lot of value to me, ma'am. Look forward.
Thank you so much. I don't, the credit goes to you. It's your skill as an interviewer, but thank you so much for the kind words.
Look forward to seeing you one day face to face and knowing such a wonderful, of course, beautiful, and such a knowledgeable person. My salutes and respect to you with folded hands.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best and a great day, ma'am.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.